Hi, I'm hijacking the podcast, coming to you from the dark. I've killed Sean and Johnny. No, actually, Johnny's off this week, and instead of doing a show with Sean by myself, we decided we're going to do something different. We have something special for you, and I hope you'll like it. You know, Brandon Sanderson, said he had this secret project, and he brought out, he's like, I've been working on a book. Then he brought out a book, and then he brought out another book, and another book, and he had like a whole stack of books. Well, we did a podcast and recorded a full year's worth of episodes and never released it. Never went anywhere. And I don't even know why. But now you're going to get to hear them. So every now and then we're going to have a bonus episode. Or when Johnny's not around, we'll have a bonus episode. And you'll get alternate endings. Alternate Endings is a podcast where we, three writers with some script writing experience now, we talk about movies and TV. And each episode is devoted to one thing that we watched that week. And we talk about it. We talk about what we like, what we didn't like, and how we would change the ending if we would. Sometimes we won't. But over time, over the course of a year, we had a lot of fun episodes. And arguments, of course. Including one time when I made them watch what they call the worst torture movie ever made. But they're a bunch of pussies. Anyway, that's not this episode, though. I'm teasing something farther out. But when you get to it, you'll enjoy it. But for now, this week, I bring you Tenet, the first thing we discussed. And like I said, these were recorded a while ago. I think a few years ago, whenever Tenet came out. Whenever the hell that was, I don't know. So, that's what you're getting this week. I hope you like it. Let me know. Leave a comment, whatever. Maybe we'll even, restart this podcast. I don't know. Do it properly. Who knows? So, now I present Alternate Endings. Enjoy. One more thing. These shows were audio only. There's no video of them. So, sorry, you don't get to look at us a whole episode. That's probably an extra bonus. We'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Alternate Ending, the podcast where three full-time storytellers talk about other people's stories that they like. I am Johnny. I'm here with Sean and Dave, my partners in crime. I won't give you a full bio because you're not going to care or remember it anyway. So you'll see our chicanery as we go. I will warn you guys that in any of these podcasts, there are going to be major spoilers for anything that we talk about, obviously. So today we are talking about Christopher Nolan's movie Tenet. And so if you haven't seen Tenet and you think you might want to see it, maybe you should go watch it first, rather than listening to this episode and having the entire thing spoiled. So we haven't done this before. We do talk about stories all the time. We make stories all the time. Between the three of us, we probably have, I don't know, 150, 200 books, something like that, many millions of words. So this is something that we eat and live and breathe every day. And this is our tribute to the world of stories, say.
Will there be bad language, Johnny?
There will be bad language. I would urge you to get your kids out of the car or whatever else you need to do.
Should you stop driving or just push them out? See, Dave went right there. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's Dave. He's the morose one. When you hear something morose and terrible, that's probably Dave.
Yeah, this is consistent. How are things at home, Dave?
Wonderful.
All right, another
day in Florida.
Claustrophobic. Oh yeah, Dave lives in rural Florida. He tries not to brag, but it slips out sometimes.
When you say rural Florida, I'm imagining Dave with cows. What do you think? What are the chances that Dave just has livestock and he's never mentioned it, never thought it was worth mentioning?
Oh, he has at least 2 goats just to eat the evidence.
And they're not even outside; they're just wandering around inside.
Seat bodies.
Yeah,
not good.
I've heard that. May have used that recently in a story. Pigs eating bodies. Just saying.
One of the cool things about this podcast, though, it's sort of going to be like a book club of sorts, or a TV, movie, whatever club. Like, we're going to tell you what we're going to watch, and then next week, you'll be able to watch it before.
Such high expectations, Dave. Now we have to remember to actually do that. That is the intention. So, for instance, because we're going for bonus points, next week's episode will be on Gone Girl. So, if you want to watch Gone Girl.
Oh, we're even busting that out at the beginning of the show.
Because I'm going to forget it at the end. And you just watch like several episodes in. We're going to start remembering to tell people what they should watch next. And they'll be like,
it should be like Wild Card. That's actually fun. You just like watch a whole bunch of movies and hope that whatever you watched is what we watched too.
Well, I mean, when I hear that a podcast is going to have spoilers, like I might be scared away because there's a lot of stuff I haven't watched. But if I know I have a chance to watch it and I know what's coming up, then I'm more likely to, be invested in.
Dave does his best to keep up, but sometimes, something will slip through the cracks, like The Godfather. He finally caught up with that, a couple months ago, and he hasn't caught up with Harry Potter yet, right? That one just flew right by.
It just, it happens. You get busy doing other things.
I think
and by the way, I saw Godfather 3 first, which is not the correct order.
It's not right. It's wrong. It's incorrect.
Just
you did that wrong.
Yeah. So by that point, like I already knew what happened, so why bother?
I think it's also worth talking about the fact that we're probably going to kind of do a semi round robin on this in terms of different people choosing different movies at different times. We sort of collectively chose Tenet because Dave hadn't seen it and wanted to see it, and Sean and I wanted to see it again. We saw it in the theater. But I think that we're going to, so I know that there are some that Dave has chosen that I probably wouldn't necessarily have chosen, and vice versa. And so we're going to cover movies and probably like limited series TV shows, or maybe just a season of a TV show or a TV show that we've all kind of seen just because of the tremendous amount. Like you said, we're discussing Lost next week and we haven't watched Lost. That's a lot of TV to watch in a short period of time. But we're going to try and you're going to see basically a variety of tastes here. I know that there are some things that I always look for in movies that may or may not be what these guys are looking for in movies. I always like some sort of a reversal or a clever storytelling trick or something that's not as it seems, or a little sci-fi something or other, and don't usually like stories that are just like about a bunch of people doing normal things. Whereas I know that there are some that are on our list that'll probably be more like that.
And some of the movies that will be on the list will be spite choices, movies that Sean is making us watch because he hates us.
And I did ask the question, can we pick some, because there are movies that I really like that probably aren't really technically good movies, but they're fun movies. And so I think the official answer was we can pick some of those movies if we kind of all agree, and we can describe why we like it.
Right. All right. I think the why is everything, because I
know your why. I heard somebody say.
Yes, I was shocked last.
Yeah. When it comes to story, I feel like I get something out of everything I watch, even if it's like bad, even if it's reality television, and I'm like, oh, the way they cut that together to prove this point is really interesting. I think if you're an observant consumer of entertainment, you can mine a lot of gems. And so I am pretty intentional about what I watch, because whatever, I'm always writing something new. And so a lot of times I want to write things that are going to inspire or kind of influence or inform in some way what I'm writing. But then other times I'm just watching something as a family, or I'm watching something with my wife, Cindy, or I'm watching something with, just my daughter, Haley, or whatever.
You watch TV with your family. That's just,
I do enjoy it. I know it's Oppositeville here, but I do.
TV should only be watched in a dark room by yourself and nobody bothering you. Or a movie theater by yourself, nobody bothering.
That this is a true story. We went to a movie all together when Dave was here with us in Austin, and he wouldn't sit in the same row with us.
He did sit in the same row with us. Well, Sean wanted to put us next to each other, and I didn't understand that because, like, clearly there needs to be the buffer space,
Yes.
And Sean got a popcorn for us to share because it was like this place with this kind of all-you-can-eat popcorn. I'm like, you don't even know Dave. You don't even know Dave. Dave needs his.
I know, it was like I had just met him.
You're just gonna reach in there with our filthy hands and then
licking licking the butter off your finger, shoving it back in. No.
Right. And I think another thing here before we kind of get into the meat of this that I would probably mention is that I don't know if anybody really cares about this, whether you're writers or not, but we're constantly, at least Sean and I don't actually know what your process is between you two, Sean and Dave, but we'll routinely look to stories for sort of a maybe a gestalt impression or a certain stylistic choice that was made or a framing device that
A
we think
vibe.
is interesting.
Like vibe, we reference vibe all the time.
Right. So we'll say, this is like when we're working on a story, we'll say, well, okay, so this is kind of like that scene in this or something like that. And sometimes it is purely just a vibe. There was a book that we wrote where I kind of borrowed the Edison versus Tesla vibe of in Colorado Springs. That was from The Illusionist, which is also Christopher Nolan. Or no, The Prestige. I always, for some reason, get those two mixed up.
They came out at the same year, or like,
and they're both about magicians, right?
Yeah.
So, but that was just a vibe. Like we didn't copy any story at all, but being able to sort of say, okay, this is representative of something. We also did a series of westerns, farcical westerns, and at the beginning of our writing together, where we like deliberately modeled each short book, each novella off of an existing western as homage, like transparently. So we had a chapter that was named after the original movie, that sort of thing. So I think that a lot of people feel that movies are like they're looking for the one idea if they're a creator, or they're comparing things to say, was this unique enough versus other stories that are out there? And I think the truism is, well, there are no real ideas. This is like our job as storytellers is to remix ideas, because if you just use the same sort of conventions, these are the things that already exist out in the world, and it's the mix. Nobody's inventing new carrots, but carrots are used in all sorts of recipes, basically.
Dave's like, what's a carrot?
What?
Dave, carrots are these cookies? Cylindrical orange non-cookies.
Like, that's the kind of cake I don't eat.
Oh, yeah. Why would anybody put a friggin' vegetable in cake?
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that one.
Oh, carrot cake's delicious. Are you kidding?
No. Why do you put carrots in a cake? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God, carrot cake's great. Have you ever had zucchini bread?
Zucchini bread, I have given you loaves of zucchini bread. That's not really bread. That's basically a wet cake that has zucchini as a binding agent.
Yes, right. It's cake with a vegetable in it.
Except that carrot cake still tastes like carrots.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Cake. Carrot is a strong. Okay, well, that's this.
And a lot of people
what you're
put
for.
cream cheese on it, and that's just disgusting.
Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense either. All right, okay, so that's now you know what podcast you're listening to. So should we move to Tenet, or do you guys want to filibuster for a while?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about why we chose Tenet?
I sort of already did, but I'd like to hear the analysis that you have on that.
Okay, well, I guess
is it because Dave hadn't seen it yet, and you and I wanted to see it again?
Well, I do think that is primarily
we love everything.
Oh, okay.
The reason. Well, okay, I think even there is a little bit of framing, because Dave saw a different movie than we did, I think.
He went to see Alice in Wonderland. He didn't understand it. It's like, why? How is time moving in this movie?
Tenet in Florida.
Well, because I think that's true with every movie. Like the second time you see something, it plays out a little bit differently because you have knowledge that you didn't have before. Just like when we're all writing our drafts, every time we're going through that edit and we're back at the beginning, we know what the characters are going to do. We know the story a little more. So, we're just differently informed, and movies are like that. TV shows are like that. Everything is like that. Stories are like that. But I think with this movie, it is a little different because it's just kind of a deluge the first time. There's so much coming at you. There's a lot of adrenaline, and there's not a lot of, there's the walkie rest points, but those don't count because you're still being assaulted. And so the second time, because you have kind of a bird's eye view, you can absorb a little bit more. So I think that even more so with than most movies, the fact that you and I, Johnny, have seen this already once is a bit of a different experience for us than Dave, who has seen it once.
I was going to watch it a second time. I just didn't have time. I did watch some people try to explain it on YouTube, however.
Yeah, I actually feel like the movies that I like best correlate almost perfectly with movies that I want to see more than once. Like it's rare that I really, really love a movie. I want to watch how general I am here, but I would say that the movies I like best require a second watching. It's not just that I want to watch it again because I want to watch it again. So for instance, yesterday I watched Primer again, and there aren't a lot of movies. Yeah, there aren't a lot of movies that are harder to understand than Primer. Like that's just really, really confusing. But I really like that in a movie. And
is that streaming anywhere, or did you rent it?
No, I rented it. I actually ended up buying it because I've watched it a bunch of times, and it's just kind of a stock movie that I want to, I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I want to watch it. Haley hasn't seen it. I would totally watch that again. Do you want to put that on our list, or is that too?
No, I would love to put that on our list. And I know that we're on a diversion. By the way, this podcast will be full of sidetracks and diversions, just FYI on that.
So are good stories.
Yes, that's true. And I love that we don't have to rein them in now. Like, fuck that. Not doing that anymore. Not reining in the side tangents. But what I was going to say is I would love, it's funny. So way back when, for like OGs who've been listening to us on various podcasts for a long time, I think it was Dave made us watch a movie called Upstream Color. And I thought it was stupid. I thought it was like, you can go back and listen to it. I was like, what the hell am I watching? And that has become kind of one of my favorites. Like it had to grow on me. And also Shane Carruth, who did Primer.
I write to the Upstream Color soundtrack still all the time.
I would love to analyze both of those movies because, again, on a sidetrack, what I like about Carruth as a filmmaker is you feel like you're just watching action that it isn't altered by the fact that you're there. It doesn't feel, it is scripted. Of course it's scripted, but you feel like you're a voyeur to action rather than having something laid out to you in an exposition type of fashion. And you just kind of have to interpret it. You're like, nobody stops. If you see somebody walking down the street and they're picking things up off the ground, for instance, nobody says, and then he was picking up nickels. And like, you have to intuit, like, what's that guy doing? And that's what I feel like when I watch Carruth movies, especially Upstream Color.
Well, I'm down for people's lives on buses.
I'm down for either of those or both. Like if we wanted to do a Shane Carruth episode and just talk about like what is it that makes these movies so compelling or something like that. I'm down for either of those. I really, really like his work because it is so challenging. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind challenging. I do have a couple of objections to Tenet, but it's not that they're challenging. Or that I
don't think anybody thought you minded challenging. Is there something that you said that you thought sounded like you minded? You didn't
no, it's just because I'm what I'm feeling about Tenet is bye, Dave.
Oh yeah, Dave does that. He's gone.
What I'm feeling about Tenet is that I love so much about it, but part of it concerns me. Like thinking about the future of Nolan, like where his kind of career and aesthetic seems to be going. And I feel hesitant because there's a lot about this movie to celebrate. There's a lot about this movie that I really like, but there's also a lot about it that I just don't connect with. And I don't want to be one of those fans who is like bitching about the movie that didn't get made instead of celebrating the movie that exists.
Like The Fountain.
Yes, right. That's a really good example. And so I watched The Fountain again recently and I liked it a lot more. And I have a feeling I might like Tenet more a few years from now. What I want it to be is The Matrix. And what I mean by that, like, I don't think the two movies have anything in common, but Matrix came out and it said, this is a new kind of science fiction. Like, this is a definite bar raiser. Like, this is a new way to think about a lot of things. Like, Matrix was really, really groundbreaking. And Tenet, there was something about the trailer that hinted this might be that. And then, COVID shat in the world's face. And like, there was just a lot of...
You sure you don't want to keep it clean? Just saying.
And like all of a sudden this movie had a lot of heavy lifting to do. It had to be just the best ever. And that's not fair for that kind of, no movie can carry that kind of weight. That's not fair. But I do feel like the movie still let me down. And it wasn't because it had to be so amazing. It's just because there was something about Tenet where I felt like Christopher Nolan was really scaling his storytelling into a way where the narrative was finally going to meet his scope. And I feel like what's happened is his scope has become bigger than his narrative and it can't quite keep up. And so like, I really praise the ambition of the film. And there's so much that I genuinely love about it. But I feel like Nolan as a filmmaker is getting further away from what I really, really love about him. And It's like when an artist has a really successful album and they go to make a follow-up and they don't really understand what was super special about the first album. So the second album is like, has all the kind of the wrong things, but bigger and louder. And he's
the double live album.
Yeah. And Nolan is like, I mean, he is a master craftsman, and his ability to shoot on IMAX and just his scope is amazing. And there's so much about Tenet that just, raises the bar in that way. But I love the craftsmanship of something like Prestige. Prestige is so good, and Memento is so good, and Memento is his second film, and it is a masterpiece. So I don't know. I feel like he's getting kind of further away from that.
Is that the tone? I mean, it's okay if the answer is yes, but is that the opening shot you want to take on Tenet? Is that it disappointed you?
Did it shit in your face like COVID?
No, it didn't shit in my face like COVID, but all the worries that I had about it were like, I wanted them to go away when I saw it again, and instead they were there more instead of less. And
Wait. What had you worried about the movie? What had you seen of his that led you to believe?
Oh, nothing. Going into Tenet, I was super excited. Other than I didn't like the third Batman movie, right? And compared to the second one, which again, another masterpiece, The Dark Knight is like, it's my favorite superhero movie of all time. It's just, you even take superheroes out of it, it's a top.
Which is just the reason I liked it.
It's so good. It is such a good movie. And I thought that The Dark Knight Rises had just a lot of problems. Batman Begins is an exceptional origin story. It's done really well. And like, I was so amazed at how much respect they paid the source material while still making a really great movie. And then Dark Knight just did things I just didn't expect to see in a superhero movie, especially at that time and place. And all of his movies have, and then Insomnia, obviously, I'm not Insomnia, Inception. Insomnia was good too.
But also Insomnia. Yeah.
Inception. I meant like Inception.
That's the best movie in my opinion.
I think that had scale and ideas in balance and harmony. And Tenet, I felt, was more discordant. Like it didn't have.
Let's get into it a little bit. Like let's get into the nitty gritty, right? Because I think I had some of the. I mean, my major problems with not just to be clear, because I don't want to start on this note, but I really did like this movie, and I didn't love it. It's not my favorite Nolan, but as far as like movies of all time go, like it's reasonably high up there for me. I thought it was really fun, and I thought it was really interesting. What it didn't, the problems that I had with it were like unavoidable problems, probably given the scope of the idea, but I would refer to them as Gremlins style problems, right? Because you remember in Gremlins when they were like, you can't feed them after midnight. And I'm immediately like, okay, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard, because so when does it stop being after midnight? It never says between midnight and 6 a.m. It's what if you're in a time zone? What if you're in a car and you're driving west and it's after midnight and then suddenly it's before midnight? Is that the way it works? Yes. Or the other way around? Like, do they suddenly change? And with Tenet, once you have the idea of backwards traveling objects, objects that travel backward in time, well, the backward in time, I don't know if you guys are new to this concept, but it goes on forever in a backwards direction. So what I'm thinking of is the scene where he's going down and he's fighting against the foe that he later learns is himself, right? And they're the little starbursts are appearing in the glass. Actually, it's earlier when he comes by and he sees them and he's like, that hasn't happened yet. So all I can think is, okay, well, so have those been there for all of time? Like for the entirety of the time? Did they install that with those bullet holes in it? Or
if you look closely at any element of the science in this movie, shit starts to fall apart.
Well, and you know that he knows it too, because the number of times they start discussing like paradoxes or causality, they go, it's unknowable. It's unknowable. There's parallel worlds, something like that. Like, well, wouldn't them destroying us destroy them too in the future? Well, who knows if you believe in alternate universes.
Right. Okay. So in Inception, I felt like Nolan took the time to give us creative visuals to explain things. Where in this movie, I felt like he was like, I'm Christopher Nolan, bitches. I don't gotta explain shit. it's just got to look pretty, and it did. It looked very pretty, and
Well,
it
he
looked
had
like a
the
video
scientists sort of explain it in a very early
No,
scene.
Yeah, but it didn't make any sense.
no. Okay, and the structure of this movie, it was like video games and cutscenes where they had like long things talking. Okay, and there was also this crazy thing where people would talk and like it would be the next part of the sentence, but they're in like another continent or something. And it was like
Like they pause for 4.
I don't remember that. When did that happen?
Okay, I remember that. I
yeah,
don't remember
it's
the
just,
scene.
and I get it. But it's another example of what I'm talking about with Nolan, where he cares more about the scope than the intimacy and the story. And
But can you fault him as a creator if that's just like he likes scope?
no, I can't at all.
I prefer a different mouthwash.
But here's the thing. Like when you see something that you're like, why don't I like that? And it's like, oh, because I hate myself, right? Like, Dave,
okay.
People like seeing children smile in a park.
right, exactly like that.
Why are they happy and I can't be?
I feel like Nolan at his worst is guilty of the same things as us at our worst. And specifically, I mean you and me, Johnny. Like our storytelling foibles are they're Tenet. Like I see the worst of what we have done in Tenet, where there's a little too much hand waving. There's a little too much, like we have these really big ideas, but we're not really taking the time to get to the fine point of them. And so they become a little unwieldy. And I felt like Tenet was that. It was like, okay, we have these books in our catalog. There's not a lot of them, and there certainly get fewer and fewer the more we work and, the sharper we get over time. But they're books where we know that we could tighten it a little bit, but it's just time to move on, right? Like I feel like this script needed a couple more passes, and he had like the ideas are there, but I don't know. I just
that's fair. Here's a question. So about Nolan, and I think it's worth. Actually, I don't know where Dave is on this, but I think that for Sean and I think that Nolan is one of our favorites. Is that?
Yeah, we identify with him as a storyteller, which made me want more from Tenet. I wanted to feel inspired by Tenet, and instead, I felt like, you know what, Johnny and I lately have our eye on the ball more than Christopher Nolan. I mean, I'm not comparing our work or drawing any sort of equivalency. I'm just saying that we have very much learned over the last few years to start putting our audience first. And I feel like he's not doing that. He's actually doing that less over time. He's like, it can be complicated because it looks awesome.
Well, so here's the question I was going to ask about Nolan, because we've seen his scope increase, but that, of course, always happens with directors who are successful. They get more and more. And, sometimes they then hang themselves with all the extra rope they're given. So do you think that with a movie like, let's forget about Following because it was just super, super indie, like shot with his friends on the weekends. And let's look at Memento, right? Which is not Nolan's first movie, but it's his first big movie. It's his first movie of consequence.
It should also be noted that it was a box office failure. Like it's loved. Storytellers love it. And it has become a cult classic from DV onward. But it's not like it was a super successful movie.
I saw it opening day.
I did too.
So do you think that a movie, let's take Memento and Tenet, okay? Because those are the two extremes. Memento is the smallest and most intimate, lowest budget of his post-Following movies. Tenet is the opposite. It's his biggest, grandest, most ambitious, biggest budget. So do you think that he always wanted to make Tenet or Dunkirk, right? Like Dunkirk, he famously
always want to make Dunkirk.
This big epic war movie. And do you think he always wanted to make those types of movies and was constrained by budget and then made a movie that people adore and that you particularly like better because he had a budget, but he didn't really want to do that? Or do you think it's the opposite where he's gotten bloated, but he was perfectly comfortable back then?
I think it's a little of all of that. I think he was comfortable back then, but I think he's somebody who's always burst at the seams. I think he is drawn to scope for sure. Like it is part of his aesthetic. He does want big. So
those big, huge establishing shots that are really like luxuriant. Like in this one, it was with the windmills in the sea, some sweeping pan with a helicopter.
Well, you could even see it. Bond movie, really. I mean,
yes. Well, but so was. Wait, what? Did you say Inception was a James Bond movie?
No, this one.
Yeah, but so was Inception. How many how many scenes in Inception were straight up James Bond, down to like the snowmobiles and like,
Oh, he wants. Yeah, I mean, I was actually paying a lot of attention. I noted some what I felt to be Nolan hallmarks when I was watching this, because like you start to notice like, okay, he does these same things. Number one is heist. Dude really likes heists.
he really likes heists.
He likes alternate. He likes odd timelines. But scope, he likes billionaires. Like he wants, to show big yachts and big buildings. He wants international. Like this was in Mumbai again, and Inception, a lot of it took place in Mumbai. The music has a grand scope. So like Inception's Hans Zimmer soundtrack was, legendary. I think. Do you guys know who scored this? I want to say it was James Newton Howard, because it sounded like The Dark Knight.
No, it was somebody else.
No, but I didn't like it nearly as much as Inception's score.
Well, it's hard to match Inception's score, but it had that feel. It had that.
It was big. Yeah, it was a big score.
So, all right, I don't know where I was going with that. I even interrupted you for it. Sorry, but I was just thinking of like Nolan hallmarks. It seems like he does want those big.
Well, if you even look at Insomnia, which is all in like Alaska, he's still going for vistas. He's still going for scope. So I do think that, he's not going to get much scope with Millennium or Memento, right? There's like how like, that's a very small story by design. It's like internal noir. It is a strange, wonderful beast. But I think the moment he was given money, there's always been scope. Batman, like immediately, and I loved this about Batman Begins, is that it took Bruce Wayne out of Gotham. But like, he's in Nepal, like that's awesome. Like he took Batman and still gave it scope. Remember that shot in Nepal with the private jet on the runway and Alfred just standing there? Like that's the shit you can draw because it's cheap to draw on a comic panel, right? But he took the time to get Bruce out of Gotham and then back in Gotham. And so, yes, I think that he always loves scope, but I think that he's missing. I think Tenet is missing so much balance. And I feel like there's a bit of arrogance that I feel exists with Tenet that I wish wasn't there, because I do want artists to do bold things, and it's not the big ideas, it's not any of that. Like I'm fine with the scope, and I'm even fine with the stuff that looks like he's being removed where I don't actually think he is. So for example, one of the storytelling choices, which I could see somebody finding fault with and saying that he's a cold filmmaker, is to call the main character the protagonist.
Yeah, that's the one thing I thought was quite interesting.
I feel like he was trying to do something that I never understood. He talks about the protagonist. He talks several times about antagonists. There's a discussion in the film about who's the protagonist, including the punchline at the end of the movie. And the name of the movie is Tenet, right? So what do you think he's trying to do there?
Well, I think that that Nolan really likes people to be discussing his movies. I think that he is he's a much finer craftsman when it comes to mystery boxes than J.J. Abrams, because I think J.J. Abrams is really great at the setup, but most of his canvas is television, and he uses the ongoing nature of television to like kind of delay having to be accountable for. And I
gave him a lot of leeway, but I agree he drops the ball more often than not on some of those boxes.
Yeah, he does drop the ball a lot. I think he does. But with Nolan, I think he's a lot tidier than that. And the questions that he leaves are, they're logical, like the spinning top, to me, it's very clear that it's one thing, but you will see debate on that. And I think for the most part, he has these neat little packages and you can discuss them. But I think this time I don't feel clear on what he wants me to discuss. I don't feel clear on what he wants me to walk away from. And Johnny, you're really on this in our stories. You're like, okay, what are we trying to say here? Like, that's really important to you, that you know the theme, because that gives you a compass, and we want to give that to our reader. And we weren't as always on target in the early days when we were telling stories together. It really was more about like, what could we do for ourselves? And we still are, it's very important to us that we tell stories that delight each other. Like that's instrumental to what we're doing. It's essential to the process. But we also know that we need to put our reader first too. And I just didn't feel like, this was all Nolan's vision, but I didn't feel like I was really participating in it. He was showing me his vacation carousel full of slides. Like, yeah, Dave, hold on just 1 second. So like Tarantino is someone that I really, really love that Dave thinks is super overrated, but he's definitely one of my favorites. And he's somebody who absolutely sticks to his vision. I don't know that there's another filmmaker who's more devoted to his own vision. However, I also think that every time Tarantino
Shane Carruth, he's so devoted to his vision, he's only going to do his own weird shit.
Yeah, touche. But okay, as far as filmmakers who get all the money, because you're right, there's a lot of filmmakers who are super, super devoted to their vision. But, like someone like Tarantino gets a lot of money. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he got a lot of money to execute his vision. And he got to recreate, 60s LA. Like, it's amazing that you could see where the money went. He definitely bought high quality paints to put on his canvas. But I feel like even though both of those artists are really devoted to their art and to, a full articulation of their vision, I feel like Tarantino's vision is about the audience, because he still remembers what it was like to sit in the theater and just like watch his favorite. Like, he's never lost connection with that. So he is putting the film goer first, where I feel like Nolan has moved to a place where he's putting the technical vision first. He's like, when I left the theater, I think I said this to you, Johnny, like, or maybe I didn't say it till later at dinner, but this feels like the rap god of movies.
You've said that a few times, actually.
I disagree. I think the choice of protagonist and the story itself had something to do with free will and determinism in his philosophy. And I'm not entirely sure of what it is after having watched it, but I feel he was trying to make a grand philosophical statement in a big budget movie.
I agree. I just don't think he gave me a roadmap.
Yeah, I think it was difficult. At times, the movie made me feel stupid because I'm trying to figure out.
I definitely felt stupid the first time, Dave.
Where they are, like, is there time travel involved? The science of it, like they have to breathe a different sort of air when they go in reverse entropy time. But there are other elements.
If you didn't like spicy food, do you suddenly like spicy food?
I mean, but if you're taking that everything is going backwards, then the science kind of breaks down, because other parts of the body would also function differently, and they don't talk about that. It just becomes too heady.
When you cough, does your head like go?
Well, it felt like there needed to be something a little.
Oh my God! All the ejaculate, just like straight up into the body.
I thought we were going to wait till the second episode to go into that.
Yeah, I just felt there was another layer of simplification that needed to be added. I mean, I felt like he was doing, pretty good at it for the most part too. I mean, using the masks to always, that's also a visual cue that these are people that are going backwards.
Right, in the red and blue, same deal. I really liked that.
Yeah, so that all felt, he was working with the audience in mind, trying to present something complex in a way that the average filmgoer could understand it. But even so, I still felt quite stupid at times. And I think I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the spectacle of it. I was waiting for a big aha moment that I never got. I feel I didn't feel connected to really any of the characters except the woman that was trapped in the situation with a guy. That's the only one I felt anything for. But even then, I never really felt the characters as I did in Inception. Like I felt the loss and heartache and all of that
Yeah,
in
that's true.
Inception in a way that I did not feel in this movie. And I feel if he had made it a little simpler, made the characters, made me care about them a little more, I would have loved the movie more than I did.
I'm with you on some of the science and stuff. One of the things, and if you're new to hearing me talk about shit, then you haven't heard this before, but I don't particularly like superhero movies. I know, I'm sorry. And the reason is because I don't buy it. Like, okay, so Superman is strong because of Earth's yellow sun. Like, fuck off. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why I like Batman or Iron Man or something, or if they could do something where it was like quasi believable within sort of a 1 degree of separation, then okay, fine. And I think that some of the things that did bother, because I really did, like, I want to be clear, I did like Tenet, and I liked it better the second time because I didn't feel as dumb. Like I understood what was happening. I knew what to look for. And
you have a background in science, so you're not as dumb as me when it comes to these things.
Well, I think the problem is that it was, like I mentioned, the kind of Gremlins rules too, but some of the stuff that you were mentioning too is when you have you have things that are behaving normally, you put interfacing with something that is backwards. So a backwards bullet in a regular gun. Then my mind starts to ask all sorts of questions that they don't have answers for. I know that they don't have answers for them. And so like, if you like, let's say you have a regular gun and she's like, well, it feels weird because you're catching it. Okay. So that bullet rejoins its casing and the powder unexplodes, and the firing pin pops back or something like that. But then what about the gun? So if it's a normal gun, like how do you get the hammer to go backward, at the right time? Or if you're driving a car, then, he's backwards, but the car's not backwards. So, okay,
the car
how's that
driving
working?
Really annoyed me in the movie.
Right. I mean, if you're pushing down the pedal, then
because it looks spectacular. That's the whole
but
point.
It didn't make sense. Why couldn't they? They didn't do everything backwards. It wasn't complete.
But that's exactly it. It became less about the story and what was happening and more about the spectacle.
That's true, because it drew your attention to those questions. So like, you know how like this would happen as kids, and they've done it a few times on like cartoons and stuff, where they'll say it's opposite day and you do the opposite of what you would normally do. And so like, that's a never ending loop, because what's opposite, right? Like, is it opposite to say bad bye instead of goodbye? Is it opposite to leave before you arrive? Is it like, what does backwards mean? And it's the same sort of thing here, where like you say, okay, you're moving backwards in time. You're doing the opposite of normal, but only sometimes, only when it works. So, and my question about bullet holes has that same thing.
And I did think that when they were driving, that maybe like there were things like maybe we're just viewing it backwards, but in reality, in his POV, he's going forward. But that wasn't the case, because he was having difficulty driving. So it just fell apart. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I mean, the point that I already forget who made it. Sorry, but the that you're distracting. The fact that you are asking those questions. Okay, so this is actually, I think, a really good storytelling point. I would say the goal of story in a movie like this is to be just present enough, but not totally present. You shouldn't see the strings, positive or negative, of the story itself, because once you do, then you're analyzing what's going on in the story what's going on mechanically, rather than what happens with the characters and their motivations and where you're going with it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, my problem with this is, and again, I know I am personalizing this a little bit. It's a movie, have fun. It did look great, but I don't know. I also think there's a couple things going on here with my judgment. Not just that I am personalizing it, because I see that movie and all the things that really bug me about it. Johnny, you and I wouldn't let each other get away with those things. Like, you would demand to know, well, we haven't explained this yet. How are we going to explain that? And then if I got the draft and I had a question, like, it would have to be answered before we went on, because it feels like it's a little too vague. Or as you say,
I'm sorry. I mean, he seems to commit flaws that you guys have committed in your writing. So, having recognized those flaws in your own stuff, does it make it that more apparent?
Yes. It's like because I see him getting more that way as his career. He has to answer for less. He's getting really big budgets to just kind of make the movie because his movies always make money. So like good for him, but I don't think that's enough. Like I think that this movie had some really brilliant things about it and had some phenomenally good ideas, and it just needed a little more like a little more attention. You know, Johnny and I had a book that like crushed his soul a year or so ago.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
that's what every book does to you, Dave.
I feel like our first draft of this book was like the finished product of Tenet. Like it had some big.
Did you hear that? Our first drafts are better than Tenet.
Okay, that's not.
Fuck you, Nolan.
That should be the quote for the podcast.
Let's get him on the show now.
Hold on. What I mean is that when we had that first draft, it had a lot of problems, and we decided Johnny was 90,000 words into this book, and we threw it away and started over precisely because we felt like it was all bloat. We had some really big ideas, and we had some really cool visuals, and we had some great setups, but there was a lot of meandering, there was a lot of exposition, and there was a lot of
because we didn't know where we were going.
Right. And I feel like he had like some really big ideas, and I love that he was trying to, like, he's great at that, bringing big ideas to the screen. But I feel like the other thing, it's not just that I'm personalizing it, is that when I put him next to Tarantino, that's specific. He is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. And not only that, that's not just personal. He is inarguably one of the best filmmakers of all time. His track record proves that. So I think that when you're one of the vanguard, you have kind of a responsibility. You have a lot of Warner Brothers money, and you have a huge platform. So just put your best out there. And I'm sure he did. I know he put his whole heart into this, and I'm not like, it's 5-star for effort. It's 5-star for visuals. It's 5 stars
for guts to have an idea that big, honestly. Because I hate it when people play down.
Yes, exactly. Like I want him to push, but I just feel like he's thinking more like a director and less like a writer as time goes on. And I'd like his next project, I'd like him to think more like a writer.
So what you're saying is, you know, he's making money, so he's able to, you know, go further and further out there. This movie, you know, according to, you know, what I'm looking at right now, it might lose $100 million. So I don't think they're going to continue to allow him a bottomless, a well of money to draw from. At some point, he's going to have to earn it back, earn the audience's, you know, trust back, or the studio's trust. I don't think he's broken it here by any means. I think it was a good movie, and a lot of it had to do with, you know, the movie theaters being closed because of COVID.
Yes, but COVID also gets a scapegoat for this, because I don't think this was a blockbuster. I think people would have still been like, I don't know. And, you know,
what it cost? It cost $200 million?
Something like that, but also another couple $100 million in marketing. Like they spent
marketing. Okay, because I saw box office was, I think, $205 million.
Yeah,
Inception pulled in $836 million. This one pulled in so far.
But Inception is a classic, right? He didn't make a classic, and that
that was a risky movie. That
was a risky movie, but he had earned his bones. Like and you know what? He earned his bones for Tenet. Like he's allowed to have a movie with bloat, of course. You know, I hope he comes back, you know, and starts scaling down. Like once I bond with a director, I do really want to see them do their best work. I always hope that I haven't seen their best work yet. I still want Shyamalan to come out and surprise me with his best work.
I think you're either being too harsh on it, or you're presenting as too harsh, because you're talking about him coming back, and I hope he wins back trust. Did he disappoint you that much? I mean, this isn't Shyamalan.
No,
Shyamalan has lost my trust.
Okay. No, it's because I see it as a trend. So it's not Tenet. It's that if I were to graph his career, it just seems like he's getting, bigger and bigger. And, like there was Interstellar was a movie I was so looking forward to.
Interstellar. I want to do alternate ending on Interstellar because I hated the ending of it.
That one earned $701.8 million, like the second highest grossing.
Yeah, I liked Interstellar until that ending. I did not like that at all.
Yeah, I feel like if you're charting his course, Interstellar.
But Dunkirk, I didn't see Dunkirk yet. Where does that fall on the scale?
I actually love Dunkirk.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, I love Dunkirk. But the reason I love Dunkirk is because I can feel how much it mattered to him. Like, it's really personal. Like, it just has this.
But I mean, that was done recently. I mean, more recently than Interstellar. So it's not like he's going, down, down.
It's not. But there's. Yeah, and that's why I said, Johnny, I feel so conflicted about this because I like way more about it than the stuff that I don't like about it. Mm-hmm. And yet the stuff that I don't like about it is like I also there's some other stuff tied up in this too now that I'm talking about it. And this is worth
becoming a therapy.
Well, it is worth recognizing because a lot of times, like I bust on Dave all the time because he doesn't try new things. Like, it's just one of his things. And I think that's, as a storyteller,
I am not doing a threesome with you and Johnny. I've already told you that.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yes. Stop asking.
I'm just going to make this really uncomfortable.
Well, what did you?
That's why I don't want to do the threesome. That's how you began the.
It's so much talking during that.
With Nolan, I feel like Warner Brothers really supported him. And kept his movie in theaters and all of that. And then when they had to make their HBO Max deal earlier and released all 17 of their big tentpole movies for 2021 for HBO Max, he came out the next day shit talking them. And it's if he was making smaller movies, that wouldn't matter so much. Like, if he was in touch with character, it wouldn't matter so much. And I do want to preserve the theater experience. I do think that's worth celebrating. I do love that he's making the most cinematic stuff out there. Like,
well, shouldn't that be the reason that he is the most vocal about it? Because these are big movies that need to be seen on a big screen.
Yes, but he basically
smaller movie creators would have less to complain about because the movie's just as good on TV.
Agreed, but I just think that if you get somebody to kind of support you with that amount of money and that amount of marketing and that amount of patience, like they really sat through and they fully supported his theatrical release. And I just there's a few things about Tenet that have made me feel like Christopher Nolan, who is one of the artists I respect most in the world, is kind of turning into like a prima donna. And I don't want to see that from my artists. I want to see, Tarantino, you accuse of being full of himself. And he is, absolutely. But he is in a way that is just infectious about the art he's creating.
It's a really interesting comparison because I would never have drawn a parallel between Tenet and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but now because you've mentioned both of them during this, I've been thinking about it. And it's a really interesting comparison because we're talking about two titans of this industry at their peak, right? Like, they're at their maximum budgets, they're at their maximum exposure. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, despite its budget, despite its scope and the fact that he had to reinvent 1969 Hollywood, feels intimate.
Yep.
It feels small and intimate.
Care. What did they say? I don't care about any of the characters. And it's
maybe that's why he's the protagonist.
Yeah. Did you guys see?
Doesn't have any.
What was it called? Something 6. I don't even remember. Did you see the Michael Bay
no
Netflix movie? Okay, so Netflix, I saw it just out of curiosity.
It's Ryan Reynolds movie?
Ryan Reynolds is in it.
I haven't seen it.
Netflix spent $150 million on it, and it's why? It's not a good movie, and you lose all of the stuff that Michael Bay can deliver. It's big screen stuff. You lose that on...
Yeah, it's not like you get Michael Bay for his storytelling chops.
Right.
Oh, Netflix, I mean, if you look at some of the movies that have been popular on there, I mean, a lot of Adam Sandler movies are probably
Yes, but Adam Sandler movies don't cost $150 million. That's exactly the point. This wasn't a big hit for them. They won't do it again. They are doing a lot of big scale stuff. You're
talking about the Michael Bay thing? It's called Six Underground, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. They've got the a bunch of stuff with Russo brothers.
Isn't that a song by Sneaker Pimps?
I don't,
I don't know, but
there's they're releasing 71 movies in 2021. So Netflix is, they're definitely doubling down. But like, let's say the theater experience just died tomorrow, right? Like it died.
Kind of already has.
Well, I think it will reinvent and reinvigorate, and I'm really excited to see where it's going, actually. But let's say it literally did die tomorrow. And Tarantino actually loves the theater experience so much. I do think this is an apt comparison because he loves the theater experience so much. He owns a movie theater. Nolan doesn't own any movie theaters. So, and he said that as long as I'm alive and still rich, I will. Like, he doesn't make money on the movie theater, it's a hobby. So if the entire industry died tomorrow, who would adapt? Like, Nolan needs that big canvas. He's shooting in IMAX. Tarantino would be like, okay, well, his movies still look great on a little screen. They're still like enjoyable. You still are like there with the dialogue and the characters and what's going to happen. So it's this sense of creeping gigantism with with
I had that disease once.
Nolan that has me worried for seeing what's happening to the trajectory of one of my favorite artists is all. So I know I'm personalizing that a little bit. Tenet is it's good. There's a lot I love about it, but I think it could have been a great movie, and I think that he got a little bit arrogant, and that's why it's not.
Can you feel this way despite the fact that we've never seen a fight involving a cheese grater?
Okay, again, so much was awesome. So much was awesome on this movie. I really do feel like I'm being so cunty here about the things that I don't like in Nolan. And I apologize for that because I do love him and he is one of my very favorites. And I love his filmography and I love all the chances.
Yeah. He's on the phone. He wants to talk to me.
I even love his brother. I mean, like, I am a big, big fan. But this might be my I didn't even think about this until we got on, but no, I like this better than Dark Knight Rises.
See, I like Dark Knight Rises too. I guess it just goes to show.
I wanted something at the end a little more than we got. Like, I wanted some, like the end of Inception is just so perfect because, you have that the spinning top and the music swelling, and it's just such a beautiful moment. It's powerful. It hits you right in the gut. It leaves you something to think about and talk about. This movie left you trying to figure out things rather than feeling anything. And I felt like at the end, like I thought that maybe the kid would be Niles as a kid, and that might be possible. I don't know. I saw, when I looked on YouTube, some people have theorized that. I felt that, something to bring it home, to make some sort of closure, some sort of thing to like just make it all connect in a way, an aha moment that, oh, wow, yeah, but I didn't get it.
Well, let's if only this podcast were called alternate ending and were about things that we would change or not change in the ending, things that we liked or didn't like about the ending. So I agree with you. The ending felt a little bit to me like a plot twist in a bad heist movie, where like in a bad heist movie, a bunch of stuff happens and then somebody says, but that's just what I wanted you to believe. And then there's no real explanation or twist or anything like it. It's just like dun dun dun.
A little too mwahaha, right? Yeah.
And it was, they set up the thing with the phone or whatever, but they didn't set up this really super strong, like that wasn't overly meaningful. I didn't feel their connection was like,
it was cool, not meaningful.
Yeah. And the whole idea of the temporal pincer that was set up by the protagonist, right? Like the idea that, in the very first scene in the opera house, you see Robert Pattinson's character amongst the people, right? So, obviously he went back but it felt a little hollow to me because I was like, okay, but you didn't, I think a really good ending makes you go, oh, like I didn't see all that. Right. And it was there all along and you didn't see it. In this case, I look back, moment. Yeah, I just go back and I say, okay, I guess I accept that you've been with him all along, but I don't see the clues that make me go, whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't understand why. Like, at what point does he go back again? Does he, like, they just left too much out for me.
Um, yeah, I will say one thing just that's worth noting because I really liked it in the ending was the line, "This is the end of a beautiful friendship." Like that was well
Yeah.
done. I liked that a lot. Um, but I felt like it was missing the closure, same as you guys said for sure. But I think that could have been done even if, because there was a lot of conversation in the movie. There's just a lot, and it's of people you don't, they're not actually characters, they're just kind of like cutouts. So it is like, and that's one of the things
It's like a cutscene. Yeah, the character who explains the backwards bullets at the very beginning, I was expecting her to have more of a role, not just be like a guest appearance to give me exposition.
No, everybody's a guest appearance, right? The
Michael Caine guest appearance.
Right.
Did you see Pitch Meeting?
No, but that's what I was thinking is I would imagine that Ryan George would have a field day with this.
Oh, he did. He's like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Well, this guy's gonna go talk to this guy, okay, and then he's gonna talk to another guy. He's like, so the movie's about a bunch of people talking to a bunch of people.
Yes, exactly, and it was like a parade of visits to the exposition labs, and okay, fine. There's just a lot of that, but I think the ending, what I know if this was this is again, it's Nolan, so it's very much the kind of project that Johnny and I would have. And if we were working on this, I think that we would probably be at the very end right now, and we would be saying, okay, well, how do we end this? And one of us would suggest coming up with some sort of a visual metaphor, something that says the kind of thing that we're trying to say, and then we would have that object have some meaning between these two people, or whatever, and then we would go back and seed it throughout the book and make sure
they could have showed this string on the kid's backpack, whatever the hell that thing was, something like that.
Anything. Like I thought it should have ended with a strong visual metaphor, which Inception did perfectly. Like Inception led to conversation that isn't even really a conversation, right? Like
Inception led to copycat tops. Have you seen those ads?
Oh yeah.
It's so strange. What a strange thing to have happened because of the movie.
Yeah. So I feel like he could have done that. He's already proven that he can do that very well.
There's a guy on YouTube that does like music breakdowns, and he did a breakdown of Inception and how they used two different notes, violin notes, indicative of Leonardo's character and his wife's, and how they're over one another, and like at certain scenes you just have one, which is hers, and another scene you just have his, and then at the end they both come together and they swell up with the top.
Yeah, they do.
So it's so nuanced and layered, and this felt like it kind of fell apart. I did enjoy the beginning of the movie, though. The beginning
was great.
There was some interesting. Did you guys notice with the music? I actually made a note of this and forgot to mention it. That the music, maybe I'm imagining this, but at least I remember noticing it when he goes backward for the first time. He goes to the first turnstile, and it's before he drives the car. The music has a backwards affect to it. I don't know how to say it other than that.
I did notice that.
Yeah, it's like it's a little like in Twin Peaks when they had the backwards talking. It's a little like that. So I thought that was interesting, but that was just a little quirk. I mean, we're talking about how we would change the ending, right? Like what ending we would write.
Or just improve.
Well, I just have some sort of I think the kid being Niles, I think that might have been something
yeah, that would have been
paid
cool.
off but they would have had to have gone back and develop it a little more, their relationship.
That's what I'm saying. The script needed a couple more passes. That's all.
I did enjoy their first conversation that they had, and a couple of their conversations. I enjoyed the witty banter back and forth, and especially the scene like where he's talking about the plane, like just being a little dramatic or whatever. The whole plane thing, I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
he was
cool. I like the actor a lot. I mean,
Robert Pattinson.
Or
the other guy.
I do like Robert Pattinson, but I like
John David
Washington too. Yeah, that's Denzel's son. And
is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's Denzel's son. Yeah, he has a movie coming out that I'm for sure gonna see. It comes out the day before my birthday. It's called Malcolm and Marie.
You're turning 40, right?
I am. It's with him and Zendaya, And I don't know if you've watched Euphoria at all. I know Johnny
I saw the first 2 episodes. I liked it.
Yeah, it's great. And one of my favorite watches recently was a Euphoria special episode that was just 1 hour, and it came out at Christmas, and they shot it during COVID. And it's just Zendaya and one of the characters at a diner where she's trying to dry out, or she's talking to her sponsor, and it's just an hour-long conversation. That's the whole episode, and it's so good. And this seems serious or similar, where it's like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and it's shot in black and white, and it was done during COVID by the Euphoria guy. So I'm in. But next week we're Gone Girl. Is that right?
Next week
Yes.
we're talking about Gone Girl. I haven't read the book. I haven't seen the movie. This will be interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. And Dave, have you seen it, or you
Saw
seen
the movie. I've not read it. Saw the movie though.
it? Okay.
I know the hook.
That's the
Unfortunately, I know the review, and that's unfortunate because that would have. But that's too big a secret to keep, right? So of course.
Oh, that's too bad. I wish you didn't know that. I have thoughts on Gone Girl, but we can save those for next week.
So if you don't want spoilers for Gone Girl and you want to listen to the podcast, then don't. Then watch it. Then do watch Gone Girl. Yeah. All right.
At the time of this recording, it's available on Amazon Prime.
Do you think at the time of this recording that people are the people at the time of this viewing that people are wondering what COVID is? Do you think they're like, because we were recording these so far in advance, this is coming out like a time capsule 7 years later?
That'd be amazing.
COVID-19 variant C, B, or A?
Right. We welcome our insect overlords.
What's the one that's popular in Florida?
It's called F. It's all fuck.
It's called COVID. All right. So
It's called a liberal hoax in Florida. That's what
a liberal hoax 19.
yes.
All right. So I don't know really how to end the episode except that that it's ending. It is 4:20. Maybe that's appropriate.
That is appropriate.
And we're gonna watch Gone Girl next week. Blah blah blah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Like we've tried so many times. This is all we have.
This is our best.
Right. I mean, it's not going anywhere if you don't like it. So yeah. All right. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Adios.
I like that adios made